Hello, hello. We are live from the Hive. I'm Bree, and hold on. I got something playing here in the background. Just a second. Freaking ad popped up on one of those links I have for for what we're about to go over. Right when I started talking, it was obnoxious. Anyway, we are live and in the Hive. This is not live from the Hive though. That was just a couple hours ago, and usually I don't go live again until next Saturday. But something popped up on my feed here. I didn't discover it myself. My friend Critical Cupcake did and sent it over to me, and it was from Dinosaur Adventureland. So anytime I see Dinosaur Adventureland pop up in my feed, anytime anybody suggests that I cover it, I always invite AJ to to come on and help me go over it because AJ is something of a community Dinosaur Adventureland expert. He keeps up on all the goings on down at DAL. Introduce yourself, AJ.
Yeah, well, my channel is Atheist Junior, and speaking of that type of content, on Monday afternoon, the collaboration between me and Paula G is going to premiere, and I've watched a rough copy of the video, and it's going to be a doozy, So that video is going to premiere Monday afternoon. I'm not sure exactly what time, but after that video ends, there's going to be a after show on my channel. So, I'm real excited for that video to premiere. And if any of you guys check it out, come hang out afterwards, and you're more than welcome to also. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that should be awesome. This is what, your second or third collaboration with Paul?
Second.
Second.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I remember the first one was a doozy. That was the all the Kent Hovind legal stuff, which again comes full circle back to Dinosaur Adventureland. AJ's been doing exposés and covering goings on with Kent Hovind specifically and Dinosaur Adventureland at large, and all the residents and staff of their production over there. He keeps us pretty well updated on everything that's happening, and he's been doing it for what, about a year now, right? A little over a year.
Well, the video was called Dinosaur Scandal Land 2021, and it's been almost exactly a year. So that video was talking about the previous year and what had happened. So this video is picking up where that one ends and is going to be about the last 12 months. And there was a lot that happened in that time. So I go through a sort of chronological timeline of like major events, and then there's also some big contributions from Mark Stoney and some other people that I don't want to spoil it, but it gets pretty crazy. I will say there's some dark stuff in there, but it's going to be really interesting, and it's going to be interesting to see Kent's reaction and the reaction of his fans, because he wasn't very happy when the last video came out. But that video is it's the fifth highest viewed video on Paul's channel now. It's like at like 180,000 views or something crazy. So it took off, and
it's a really good one. It's one of Paul. If it's not, I mean, it makes sense. It's one of the best put together and documented. It was very professionally done.
Yeah, and I can already tell that this video is got that same quality of editing. I mean, I just, I contributed my research, and I helped in the planning process, but he really takes it to another level with the editing and the stuff that he finds, and just the way that he puts all the pieces together. And I think, this video is as good, if not better than that one. So I'm really looking forward to people getting the chance to see it.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that I got you on the channel before this releases, so it gives you a chance to get message out about it to my audience too. I think most of my people out here do at least watch some Apologia or have seen some Apologia. But if you haven't seen anything by Apologia before, the videos that he did with AJ, that's the one that came out before, and probably this one coming up here. Good stuff. Go check it out. I in the neighborhood of Kent Hovind, I will be talking with we don't know what day yet. It's going to be next week with Cindy Lincoln, who AJ's talked to quite a bit in the past as well. We'll be actually talking about evolution and stuff over on Amy Newman's channel. So once I have a date for that, I will let everybody in the Hive know. And yeah, and that'll probably be something I'll share on my channel too at some point. The interaction that we have, but speaking of young Earth creationism and all that good stuff, that is what brings us here today, and that is why I invited AJ on. Let me see here. We had I follow stuff that goes on at Dinosaur eventually, and I think it's important to keep up on what message these people are trying to spread, especially when it's sort of like misinformation. But this latest video, I mean, when this comes down to demonstrating that when you are willing to believe one erroneous idea, that you may be susceptible to believing just about any erroneous idea thrown at you, including things like living dinosaurs. Now, before I get started, and I make typos too, but this says Loch Ness Monster. I don't know if that was done on purpose, but it's LOCH in the native language there. LOCK is, of course, something completely different. The word is more associated with lake. Like if you were going to switch it to, like if you wanted to switch it to like an Americanized version, you'd call it Lake Ness.
Well, see, these are verified sightings, so the sightings are locked in. That's why.
Verified sightings of the locked in Loch Ness. Yeah, so they are verified. And that's what we're gonna look at, because anybody who
verified
follows
is
my
capitalized.
channel,
Verified is in all caps, so that makes it more true.
That's the capser it is, the truer it is. So these are verified. So I'm assuming coming into this that this is going to be new stuff. This is going to be never before seen Loch Ness Monster sightings, footage, images. It's not going to be the same old rehashed, debunked Loch Ness Monster sightings and folklore that we've heard 1,000 times. It's not going to be that. This is going to be something fresh, because these are verified. And so far, none of those cases have been verified. So,
right. And it's going to be sightings of several of them, because we know that if an animal does exist, then it's not just one. There's a population of them. So we're going to see high quality video of several of these Loch Ness monsters in their habitat, because it really doesn't make sense that there was only be one of them.
They have to be able to, they have to be part of the ecology. They have to have a population, right?
It's verified. And this video, it's so short, so I'm sure that they're going to just get, right to the point. The high def footage. So why don't we play this sucker?
Yeah, let's go.
So in 6 days, God made everything, not millions of years.
And that's important. The Loch Ness Monster right there.
What does that have to do with? I mean, we've got a toy of the. I'm waiting. I'm still waiting for the.
He created the dinosaurs and then us. No,
created the dinosaurs and then us.
Everything was made in 6 days. I'm sure some of you may have heard of the Loch Ness Monster before.
Right.
Loch Ness is this big lake in Scotland. It's 24 miles long, 1.5 miles across in some areas, and about 1,000 feet deep at the center.
We're good so far. So far, this is scientifically accurate. Have you ever gotten 23 seconds into a Dinosaur Adventureland video that's been scientifically accurate? Well, no, because it hasn't, because he opened up with the 6 days thing. So, no, but what about the lake so far? He's been accurate.
Everybody alive today could drown in that lake at the same time. It's huge. People have been seeing a creature living in the lake. They call it the Loch Ness Monster. There's been over 11,000 sightings of the Loch Ness Monster. And the Bible says in the mouth of...
Yeah, so most of those sightings are from a creature far off in the lake and not able to discern quite what it is. That the number is accurate, though. In the last it's been almost 100 years. There's that this has been kind of a lore thing. There's been a lot of sightings of this creature, but there's a lot of ideas about what people are seeing too, and we'll get into that in just a little bit.
Well,
Keep it up.
last 100 years, I mean, if there's been a ton of sightings, nowadays everybody has a cell phone that or smartphone, or most people do, that can easily take pictures or video very quickly. So I'm sure that many of these sightings include photos and or video.
Right. I'm assuming that's what we're going to get to in this video because it's really short. And and today everybody has a camera. There's 11,000 sightings. Now I remember back in about 2015, I saw an article called "Is the Loch Ness Monster Dead?" because sightings suddenly stopped at the somewhere in the mid 2000s. Sightings suddenly stopped when everybody started having a high quality camera in their pocket all the time. The monster disappeared.
It's a coincidence.
Here we go.
Of 2 or 3 witnesses shall reward be established. Well, 11,000 is definitely more than 3 people. Some of the illustrations of these sightings right here, we've got the Spicer family saying that they saw the Loch Ness Monster going back into the water with a sheep in its mouth. And then
Okay, so I'm going to break this down one sighting at a time. Spicer family. Okay, I have that here.
I just have to laugh at the sheep because that's it's exactly like the T-Rex scene in Jurassic Park where he's eating a sheep right when they first see him. He eats a sheep. So I couldn't help but think of that.
Yeah, like when what happened to the goat.
Yeah, well, they're saying he's a dinosaur. So
yeah, so the Spicer sighting is one of the ones that was outside of the water too. So this is the sighting of the Loch Ness Monster that's not in the water. And what it amounts to is, I have it pulled up here. Spicer.
spicy.
There we are. Okay, so they were traveling along the Doraz and Foyer Road when 200 yards in front of them, they noticed an unusual gray object crossing the road. First, they saw what appeared to be a trunk-like object, which was followed by a large body. Mr. Spicer later claimed it looked like a scenic railway. The couple realized that whatever it was a living being, and they watched in fascination and horror as it jerked across the road and vanished into the water. The vegetation the creature had passed through was flattened. Locals later stated that large patches of crushed bracken and weeds were commonly associated with the monster. Okay, so for a long time, there was this notion that there might be seals in the loch, that were causing these sightings. Then, and people reported seals, including in 1933 when the surgeon photo was really big. That's the original Loch Ness Monster photo that I don't know if we get to in this video or not. We'll cover that in a second, but let me switch over to sharing this real quick because I think this is important to the conversation. Here we are. We are going to go with, there we go. Okay. So seals in Loch Ness, Gordon R. Williamson. This is from 1988. So first they lay a little groundwork about alleged sightings of seals in the loch. But here, again, in the 1980s, 1985 here, we have, there's the castle, the famous castle for the Loch Ness Monster sightings right there. Look at this little creature right here. See the arrow pointing? That is a seal. That is a common seal swimming in the loch. Now, here we have a map of all the seal sightings. You know what's naturally sighted more often in Loch Ness than the monster? It looks like it might be seals. I don't know if there's 11,000 seal sightings. They don't get reported enough because it's a seal. Yeah, it's an animal. But I'd love to look into the overlap on that because you look at the switching over again here. Switch back to the main video. But if you look at the sighting and the way it's described, when they report on the Loch Ness Monster, it is written again. Let's see, it jerked across the road and vanished into the water. Have you ever seen a seal moving across land, AJ?
Well, no, but one time I went to SeaWorld and we had tickets to like the backstage like day pass where they take you behind the events, and like they show you like baleen from whales, and then they take you onto the stage where they do shows, and we got to play with the sea lions. Like you get in a wetsuit.
Oh,
And
cool.
they can walk around on the ground, like on flat ground, but a seal, I don't know.
So
But
seals
that
have
was
a
really cool though. That definitely.
seals have a yeah, that sounds amazing. I'm jelly that you got to
Well,
swim with the sea lions.
well,
But seals have a specific form of locomotion. Go ahead, AJ. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut
I
in.
was just gonna say that you can either do sea lions or the white beluga whales.
Oh wow, I don't know how I would
Yeah.
pick. I don't know how I would pick.
Yeah.
Oh, beluga whales are so charismatic too. So I mean,
Yeah,
so are sea
they're
lions.
little. They're small,
Yeah.
but they're really cute.
Yeah. So seals have a couple of forms of locomotion. They have their high speed bouncing that they do, which kind of they bounce on their bellies and flap their arms and move right across the land. Usually that's for smoother ground for longer stretches too, or when they're frightened. But generally when they're just moving along, they'll inchworm. And the thing that people don't realize, I probably should have just pulled this up in the first place. I'm gonna keep going back and forth to share in different screens because it won't let me share the audio from the share all. I don't know what the deal is with that, but yeah, I'm not gonna hassle with going back and forth between that. So I wanted to share this because a lot of people say, oh, the Loch Ness Monster, right? It can't be a seal because of its long neck, but seals and common seals like what we're talking about that are sighted in the lake even they have a hidden neck, so like it's scrunched up like this. I mean, it looks like they almost don't have a neck at all. People are like, seals don't have necks, but we see the Loch Ness Monster with a long neck because it's a way that it helps them with their locomotion, having this S curve in their spine. So they kind of like shoot their head out to grab fish. So they'll swim up on the fish and have that coiled up, so it's like a secondary attack. And they can use that to raise their head up out of the water and look for things too. You don't see it often, but they do it. Here's a good example of a seal with its neck fully stretched out. You can see the neck is from here to here. It's almost twice as long as the length of the head. But you don't see that all the time, just when they're extending it for whatever reason. So it's like a hidden neck. This article's even called the hidden neck of a seal because it's so peculiar how far they can shoot their necks out. Here's some examples. They give more examples down here as well. Obviously, they got fur seals right there, and fur seals and sea lions, like what you're talking about, they tend to display their necks a little more prominently. A cool thing about sea lions is they can like spin their head around like 180 degrees. You can't sneak up on a sea lion because it can see directly behind it. Anyway,
if I could share my screen whenever you're done.
Yeah.
So
let me remove this. Go ahead. What you got for me, Jay?
Okay, so yeah, I think you have to add it. So sea lions can kind of walk. They kind of waddle on their flat flippers, and the toy that he was holding up seemed to have flippers that were kind of similar but a lot longer. You can see that they have some movement there, but I think the Loch Ness Monster, if it was a seal, it may have moved like this.
Yeah, his description of it moving like a train makes me think of something like that too. With it doing the inchworm thing where it was sticking its head out and pulling its body and sticking its head out and pulling its body, and then the vehicle scared it and it did its. You gotta stop. Oh. And then when it got frightened, it started doing that movement. But yeah, that's what seals do. Sea lions kind of walk more like the intermediate between like how you see a weasel move and how you see a seal move. It's like the in between that transition, if you will, between the seal-like locomotion and the mustelid-like locomotion. All right. Thank you for sharing that. That was absolutely. I love watching seals. They're so adorable. Almost bought one of those big poofy seal pup pillows to keep on my bed. I've seen that they have giant spiders like that too, though, so I might end up getting one of those.
No thanks.
Let's see. We're gonna bring up. Let's bring. See, I told you we get some content out of this 2-minute video as long as we're able to interact with each other.
Yeah.
I'm so happy you decided to come in here and do this with me. This has been hilarious. All right, let's go. Let's see what the next sighting is.
Arthur Grant, a veterinarian student back in 1934, said he almost ran into the Loch Ness Monster on his motorcycle. Well, a veterinarian student definitely knows his animals, and he said it was a plesiosaur. And then we've got...
Why would a veterinarian student know about fossil reptiles?
Yeah, and it's a student. It's not a vet.
Well, even a veterinarian, it's like, oh man, I got to learn up on this animal in case somebody brings their plesiosaur in for me to spay or neuter, right? I don't know why that would be part of their curriculum. I don't know with this sighting. This is the Grant sighting that kind of vindicated, and it took place like at 1 a.m. Okay, the guy's on a motorcycle with a. And you're talking, what year was this? Boom. I had the Grant sighting pulled up here. I think it was. Did he say the year? Let me rewind that back and see if he says the year.
Monster on his motorcycle. Well, a veterinarian student definitely 1934 said he almost ran into the Loch Ness Monster on his motorcycle.
This is the one that you hear a lot about, where the guy had just recently watched King Kong, and that was like the first time that a plesiosaur had been displayed in like stop motion in a movie. And it kind of stuck with him. So maybe you see that a seal with a long neck, inchworming its way across the road, then doing its bouncing act like AJ just showed us there, could look like a plesiosaur in the dark on a motorcycle at 1 a.m. Maybe. Is that possible?
Yeah. I guess it's possible, but I'm just curious as to why both of these verified sightings seem to be on land. I mean, these aren't the verified sightings. He's just laying the groundwork for the verified sightings that he's going to show us later, because we know that these aren't verified. These are kind of speculative, and it says verified right there. So I believe this guy, he's got a kind face, and I trust him.
Yeah.
And I feel like I can give him my credit card number. I have that urge.
Right, and he's got a name badge, right?
Right.
So, and he's wearing an official shirt. He works there.
I think he said a veterinarian student. I think the term is veterinary student, but that could be nitpicking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the Loch Ness Monster with CK on the end, so we're not going to nitpick too much. All right.
Well, a veterinarian student definitely knows his animals, and he said it was a plesiosaur. And then we've got a photograph taken down here.
So that's not the famous picture, but that's similar.
Does this look like a biological organism to you? Like something alive and moving? It looks like a tree stump floating in the water to me, but I'm welcome to hear anybody else's interpretation of it.
It looks like a picture of someone's toilet.
With a floater?
I don't know.
This one almost looks like it was made in one of those generators, though, that you use to make your picture.
You've got the white rim of the bowl in the background. I don't know.
Oh man, if it's that close to the rim, though, they need to get the plunger out quick.
No, I don't know. I mean, obviously, if since this verified sighting is real, I think what we're looking at is the open mouth. It's clearly trying to eat some of the water. I mean, there doesn't seem to be any sort of animal or prey there.
Yeah.
But it's weird because, it does look like an animal with a head and a long neck, and then it, like a back hump. But then,
Okay, so if this is a vertebrate, though, I mean, it's because it seems that like it would have to be for it to be standing up out of the water like that. But so would this be the? Can you see my mouse?
1974.
Would this be the shoulder girdle right here, and then the neck, the neck's coming out right here? I'm just trying to understand the anatomy that they're claiming for this organism. If this is the shoulder girdle, then what is this? Is this like a hip? I can't hear you, AJ.
oh, my bad. So I was saying that I think that this monster or animal may have scoliosis.
Yeah.
And because the third hump is higher than the head or the middle hump, and you would think that it would be like a tail, but it doesn't taper off. It's just kind of like a triangle.
Yeah, it's lumpy. This organism is lumpy. Its backbones, its vertebrates or vertebrae are definitely out of place. Could use a chiropractor maybe. Double down
Well,
on the woo. I mean,
We're 3
it's
for 3. So why don't
Yeah.
we keep going? I'm convinced so far.
yeah. Well, we're gonna get there. He's got the verified sightings coming.
It looks like there's a plesiosaur living out there in the lake. In fact, the lake opens up to the ocean on both ends, so it could be that plesiosaurs from the ocean are getting into that lake at certain times. If you studied lake monsters
First, let me back up just a little bit. So about the lake, why if it's open to the ocean, would you go straight to plesiosaur instead of, hey, what animals are in the ocean that might be mistaken for a plesiosaur that would have got into the lake? The go-to is obviously it has to be something that allegedly died out 66 million years ago.
Well, I think, you're thinking of it the wrong way because you're, internalized, brainwashed, evolutionary thinking that you've got from I don't know if you went to public school, but
Yeah, I did. I went to the public school. They brainwashed me.
Oh God, I apologize.
Yeah.
You automatically think that there's no dinosaurs that live now, but there might be. So it was a plesiosaur. I'm convinced. I've got my credit card ready. I'm ready to give out my personal information to these people.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just trust him.
He has one of those faces, right?
Yeah.
Faces.
Yeah. And his voice, he sounds like he knows what he's talking about. He said the veterinary thing wrong, but
That's a slip up though, surely.
Yeah. I think I'm 4 for 4 right now. I think these are all verified, and the Loch Ness monster exists. Definitely. Probably. Maybe.
Yeah.
That's a fish, though. That's
this
a fish. That is a fish.
I'm gonna go with another theory on that. You tell me what you think, because it really.
Can we enhance like CSI?
Yeah, we're going to. Let me see. We're going to enhance. Let me see here. Why do I keep clicking that? I'm almost as bad as Kent about my tech stuff, I guess. There we go. All right. So, why is that so small? There we go. So, this is a boat with its wake. Do you see any similarities there? Does that look?
Oh.
convincing. The wake of the Jacobite queen fits the profile of Nessie, and as the boat is white, it's lost in the wake at the low contrast. What do you think? Maybe? Are you still convinced? That's okay.
Loch Ness Monster.
It's the Loch Ness. Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to keep trying, AJ. Just
maybe it
stick
was
with
driving
me.
the boat. Maybe it was driving the boat.
You think if it was a boat, the Loch Ness Monster was behind the wheel?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, I'm with you. All right, let's get back here because we're about halfway, and so far, yeah. Let's look at this. Look at this more evidence coming.
There's a whole bunch of them. Loch Ness is just the most famous one that you hear about. Then we got this guy. His name is Pete Peterson. He was walking along the beach of Lake Erie, and he saw this creature washed up. It was dead, so he stuffed it. There it is on display. Could be a baby plesiosaur. And then
what about that one, AJ?
That is an inflatable pool toy.
Inflatable toy.
I mean, why is it so shiny?
Shiny. Yeah, something with the preservation, no doubt. I got a bit of info on this one too. If you want to go over it.
I mean,
me.
they said it was dead, so he stuffed it. Did they mean taxidermy?
Yeah,
like you don't.
I believe so. I think that's the term that they'd be looking for. This
or did
is
he just shove some cotton balls in there and call it a day?
Yeah, let me read this over for you here, AJ.
Okay,
This is from way back in 2007, so this has been out there publicly for quite a while right now. Okay, so the story goes in the late 90s. Strict creationist Carl Baugh began to promote an alleged baby lake monster.
Dr. Carl Baugh.
Dr. Carl, sorry. As an alleged baby lake monster, as anti-evolutionary evidence, sometimes called the eerie baby. The approximately 3 feet long carcass had reportedly washed up on the shores of Lake Erie around 1992, at which time it was found and then stuffed by taxidermist Larry Pete Peterson, who displayed it in his L&D bait and tackle shop near Cleveland, Ohio. Somehow Carl Baugh, sorry, AJ, Dr. Carl Baugh of Texas got word of the creature and traveled from Texas to Peterson's shop to examine it. During the visit, Baugh purchased the specimen from Peterson and subsequently displayed it in his Creation Evidence Museum in Glen Rose, Texas, evidently accepting the oddity as a real plesiosaur-like lake monster. Around the time strict creationist Kent Hovind, we all know Kent, began to promote the creature in a similar manner in his seminars. A photograph of the stuffed creature appears on his website where he states the following. I'm going to do my best, Hovind, here. You can rate it at the end, okay?
All right.
In 1998, I talked to Pete Peterson, who lives in Cleveland, Ohio. He said he was walking along the beach about 6 years earlier and found a dead baby creature about 3 feet long. Okay, and the seagulls had been pecking at it, and Peter took it home with him and mounted it. He is a taxidermist, like a taxidermist. Okay, and he said this creature was lying on the beach of the Lake Erie. Strange looking little fellow. Okay. 4 flippers and a tail, and sort of like a fish, like a fish. And Carl Baugh bought it. I'm sorry, Dr. Carl Baugh bought it, and it's in his museum in Glen Rose, Texas right now. Okay, you can go see it yourself. You go down to Glen Rose, Texas. Tell them Ken Hovind sent you. Okay, and they've done DNA analysis and CAT scans and X-rays. And it has a fish hook stuck in its head, okay? A fish hook. Someone caught this fishing. Someone caught the Loch Ness Monster when they were out fishing at Lake Erie, okay? The fish hook is still in there, and it shows up on CAT scans. Strange little critter. That's Hovind, 2002, 2006. That says, I don't know what that time frame's for. How was my Hovind? Like a 4?
It was good. It was good. Maybe, is that a prison stint or no? No.
Yeah, that's this time behind bars, because he was in prison from that time frame, wasn't he? In 2002 to 2006.
2006 to 2015, I think.
He was in prison. Okay. Upon hearing of Ba's find, I telephoned Peterson, whose shop happened to not be far from where I lived at the time. As I inquired about the monster, Peterson related that he did indeed find the carcass washed up on the shores of Lake Erie, and he sold it to Ba during Dr. Ba's visit. Peterson was surprisingly candid about the manner in which he had processed the carcass. He said that when he found it, it was already decayed, had been pecked at by birds, and was evidently some kind of fish with a hook still in its mouth. He said that he decided to stuff and fashion it into a sea serpent-like creature as an attention-getting display for the upcoming taxidermy trade show. He said it had long fins along the rear part of its body, which he notched into triangle shapes to make it appear more dragon-like. He also bent and sewed the neck into an S shape to foster the same impression, and finally sewed little pieces of skin to form little flippers. But he said the display, which was basically a joke, was a hit, and that many people in the trade show enjoyed it, especially the children. He said he did not think anybody would take it seriously until Dr. Ba showed up and seemed to assume it was a real lake monster and wanted to buy it. I asked if he knew what species of fish it was, and despite being a taxidermist, Peterson said that he was unable to identify it. And then the author of this article goes on to make a speculative identification of a burbot or lawyer fish. Looks like this creature right here. All right, so a little bit of history on the Lake Erie monster. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Let's get back to the video, okay? Unless you had questions about that one. You're still convinced it's maybe Loch Ness monster. I can't. Yeah.
Oh, so they were saying it was a infant or a juvenile Loch Ness monster.
Yes.
Is that what they were saying? Okay.
Yeah.
No, I don't have any questions. That was my question.
Okay. All right.
In Alty, Georgia, 2013, you got this creature that washed up. They put a statue of it in their visitor center. Well, if these creatures supposedly lived millions of years ago, why are they still around today? And then we can look at these articles over here about the dinosaurs.
All right. So the one they just showed there is, it's the Altamaha monster. It's a model that was laid on a beach and filmed and videotaped. I mean, if you look at the full video of it and the inspection of the carcass is used loosely. There is some real animal parts there, but I mean, you can see where they laid it and they scuffed the sand out so that it didn't look like anybody had been there before. And the articulation of the organism or alleged organism, sorry, I guess I should have it up on the screen because he did show a picture of it. Let's see. Where do you have that at? There we go. Okay, so just the articulation of it. Kind of see there on the tail, like this is a bubble formed from paper mache drying. Sometimes it gets the bubble under the paper, under the glue. So this was paper mache with some fish guts stuffed inside of it is what we're looking at in that image.
If these creatures supposedly lived millions of years ago, why are they still around today?
They're not. I mean, I'm not convinced that they are.
Well, that last image, I thought it was kind of interesting that the mouth did seem similar to the black and white photo we saw. If that was a mouth on.
Yeah, that right there.
What did they censor part of the image for some reason?
Yeah, that's the fish guts hanging out of the model.
Is this a drawing or is this a picture?
It's a photograph. It's actually part of a video I have.
Okay.
Do I have an uncensored version of it? Let me see here. Give me a second, AJ. Let's see if I can't find an uncensored copy of it. Okay.
Well, why don't we let the video play? Just finish this sucker off, and then we'll give our comments.
If these creatures supposedly lived millions of years ago, why are they still around today? And then we can look at these articles over here about the dinosaurs still living in the Congo of Africa. The Congo of Africa has a swamp in it called the Lakawala Swamp. It's as big as the whole state of Florida, and it's just a swamp. When Michigan,
It is, and it's really cool. They call it the Eastern Congo Swamp, but it's really really cool. Forest elephants thrive in there, even though their numbers are kind of dwindling. So, yeah,
Really?
we need to preserve this landscape.
I mean,
travel out there.
it's all. I
What's it-
mean, it's all gonna burn, and God's gonna create a new heaven and a new earth. So,
Are
I
there going to
mean,
be elephants though?
maybe. I mean, the way I see it, you know, it's all gonna burn. So I go outside and I just spray aerosol cans
Mhm.
on purpose.
Two-handed? Just
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to aim toward. I'm trying to make my own personal ozone hole above my house.
That way, when you rapture, you don't get caught in the ozone and get stuck.
Yep. Yeah. Good call. Good call.
Yeah, you can use your aerosol cans.
They
Mhm.
talk to the natives, and the natives tell them stories. They said something was disturbing their local fishing spot, so they put some spikes in the river. They heard it get impaled on those spikes, and they went out there and speared it to death. And that's what they describe.
I like. Is this? I wonder. Is this? This has to be a model that's actually at DAL, right?
No idea. I don't think so.
Well-
I don't think it is.
Oh, that'd be cool if they had it there. Is it? Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
I guess it kind of looks like maybe it's. Well, no, it was supposed to be. I was gonna say maybe this is a nest in the foreground, like before it, but I don't know. Maybe those are just rocks with blood on them. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
sauropod dinosaur. So it looks like we still got some dinosaurs alive today in the
now when it comes to dinosaurs and dinosaur sightings in the Congo, it's mostly coming down from the locals and the indigenous people telling stories to missionaries trying to find dinosaurs. You notice that's always the case, right?
Yes. I have
more
noticed that.
remote areas of the world.
There he is. There's your guy.
Yeah. Well, so we are gonna. That's funny because we are actually, I think, gonna look at this seminar.
Number 3. Yeah.
Yeah. So
We're going to
We're
pop
way ahead of
over
you.
and do that. Yeah. Let's get that pulled up here. Dude, you sent it way back
yeah, it's in the private chat.
in the private chat. Yeah.
It should go right to it.
I'm just going to. Seminar number 3.
Yep.
2 hours and 20 minutes. Do you know?
Well, it's timestamped, so
It's a big river. There's a lake in Scotland called Loch Ness. Has
Oh,
anybody
here
ever
we
heard
go.
of Loch Ness? Loch Ness is a huge lake, 24 miles long, a mile to a mile and a half wide, up to 900 feet deep. Loch Ness is big enough that
That guy on the tour is at 1,000 feet deep. Has it gotten deeper? 100 feet deeper, it sounds like.
yes, the Loch Ness monster did that.
Yeah, he dug that down.
Yeah,
That's what you
he's
get
got
for
the
messing
flippers.
with him, though. Look at these
Mhm.
secret caves. You see this secret cave right here? That's
Yeah.
That's
Well,
proof.
that is actually a feature of Loch Ness, of the lake, is that it has a ton of these hidden cave systems on the sort of seafloor at the bottom. There's a lot of these, and the water, I think, is also very murky. So I think that's, listed as one of the reasons that it is so difficult to spot Nessie, is that she could have a hiding spot at lots of different places, and yeah, but that actually is a feature of the lake.
Yeah.
So it's
And
pretty cool.
They're basically like little monster apartments, right? She can go to any one that she
Yeah.
wants and chillax and no one can find her.
Yep.
No.
everybody on planet Earth could go drowned in it at the same time. It would hold the entire population of the world.
Is that
6
loud enough? Can you
billion
hear
people
him?
would fit in that lake.
Yeah, it's loud enough for
It's
me.
huge.
Okay.
In 1933, a roadbed was cut into the side of the mountain. Because before 1933, if you wanted to see the lake, you got to climb over the mountains or go upriver 7 miles in your boat. So not many people went there. Very sparsely populated. 1933, the first year the road was put in, there were 52 separate sightings of the Loch Ness Monster.
And I am confident that this is the same sightings that coincide with that seal was sighted in the lake in 1933 through 1934. Like sighted, but not photographs. They couldn't prove it. And there was, it's a lot of, are there seals in the lake? Aren't there seals in the lake? Are the seals here? Aren't they there? They finally got some pictures of them in the 80s, but yeah, for a long time it was just speculated. So, I mean, and to that extent, are the Loch Ness seals? Yeah, that they were a cryptid sort of up until the 80s, and now they're verified. That's how this should work. We shouldn't claim that something exists until it's verified. We verified the seals here. They're a lot smaller than a monster.
This author said there have been 9,000 reported sightings today. Now, that was back in the 1960s when this book was written. Today, it's over 11,000 reported sightings of the Loch Ness Monster. 11,000. Of course, some are fakes and frauds, okay? I wouldn't trust the, Weekly World News. Where they got all this weird stuff in there. But Sir Peter Scott's a member of Parliament. He said he saw it. He believes it's a plesiosaur. Almost everybody that sees it says it's this animal right here.
I don't know. I think it's before the sighting with the guy on the motorcycle, was that Grant, the zoology student? All the sightings were varied and different. Most of the sightings were something that resembled a deer or a seal, sometimes like a giant otter-like creature. It wasn't until that sighting, that it was 1934, that it took on the form of a plesiosaur, and it kind of stuck after that. But before 1934, the sightings varied, but were mostly of like a large mammalian creature, like a seal or an otter.
Yep.
Doc Chew is a common Highland mythology about like a sea monster, like an otter monster. That was like a, assumingly, I would assume it was based on seals coming inland, but I don't know for sure. Haven't studied into the mythology too deep on that.
It's been a while since I studied that.
Long neck, 4 big flippers.
Sounds like my
One
ex-wife.
guy wrote a book and he said, some people think Nessie is a plesiosaur. There's one thing wrong with this theory.
Others insist Nessie must be a plesiosaur. Who's insisting that?
Plesiosaurs are believed to have become extinct 70 million years ago.
I just find it kind of annoying that Kent has pointed out a lot of times that people who say that, lots of people believe in evolution, or a majority of scientists believe in it, is an argument from majority opinion, which is fallacious. But I've seen Kent use that type of argument a lot when it's a position he wants to support. And, so he's saying there's 11,000 sightings. And I think what he said a second ago, he's talking about, well, so many people have seen it, so it must be true then.
Yeah, argument ad populum or whatever.
Yeah,
yeah. But there's always anecdotal evidence, though. I mean, those 11,000 sightings that they're claiming, most of those are just people catching a glimpse of something in the water way out and not knowing what they're seeing. Yeah. Whether it's seals or otters or a fish jumping, could be any number of those things. I'm not saying that, everybody's even actually seeing anything. A lot of people report stuff like this or have mystical experiences. When you start digging into the Loch Ness Monster reports, you see a lot of magical thinking, I guess, behind what they think they're seeing, like some kind of mystical interdimensional creature or something.
What's wrong with the theory? I think this evolution theory has got to be the biggest hindrance to scientific research there's ever been. Okay?
Yeah, but you think the Loch Ness Monster's like a thing too, so.
You look at the facts, forget your theories, look at the facts and come up with your conclusions. Okay? Arthur Grant nearly ran into Nessie on his motorcycle.
I mean, scientific theories are made up of a body of facts.
Yeah.
So
it's not unreasoned either. I mean, there's been research into it.
Cantus still doesn't know the right meaning of theory. After all these years, you would think you would know that specifically, you know?
Right. All right. So it seems like the guy who was presenting our little 2.5 minute video there was basically parodying all of this.
Go one night. He said, I had a splendid view of the object. In fact, I almost struck it with my motorcycle. It had a long neck, large oval-shaped eyes on top of a small head. The tail would be 5 to 6 feet long. He describes it 15 to 20 feet long altogether. He said, knowing something of natural history, he was a veterinarian student, okay? He said, I've never seen anything like it in my life. There's the sketch he drew of what he nearly ran over on his motorcycle.
So the thing is about plesiosaurs is that we know from their anatomy, they were more like cetacins. They weren't able to come up on land for any reason. They couldn't come up on land to feed or to lay eggs. They had to give live birth out at sea. It's not something that we would expect to be moving across the road or carrying its bulk across land. Because with big animals, whales, there's a reason why they don't come up on land. If they do, they kind of crush their own organs under the weight of their body.
Yep.
A 20-foot long plesiosaur. Alexander Campbell was the game warden for Loch Ness for 47 years. He said he saw it 18 times. There's the sketch he drew of it. Many people have tried to catch the Loch Ness monster. They've used everything you can imagine for bait and some things you could not imagine. So far, nobody's caught it. I mean, the lake is huge, but there have been many, many sketches drawn. One family said they saw it with a sheep in its mouth. One guy got a picture of the hump sticking out of the water. The neck is over on the far right. Then Reader's Digest.
That's the picture where the guy said he was actually down in the water with it. Like he woke up in the middle of the night camping, and it was like on the water by his tent, and he jumped out of bed and grabbed his camera and ran into the water with it to take pictures. And that's why this picture looks like this. Could you imagine seeing a giant animal like that in the water and be like, oh, I'm going to go get in the water with it. Yeah, let's go swimming with the monster.
Yeah.
Digest, of course, they crop everything down. They cut the neck off when they publish their picture, the crop picture. But McLeod said he watched it for 9 minutes through binoculars and made 4 sketches of it, of what he saw. McLeod said, I think the monster looks like this. All you got to do is, watch TV programs once in a while where they talk about
it's the Loch Ness. Remember when we looked at that picture earlier? We're like, why is this one higher than this one in the front? It's because Loch Ness monster is dummy thick. Look at that. She's got some cushion for the pushing.
That's right.
The Loch Ness monster. There are thousands of people who will go on record and say, I have seen it. World Book Encyclopedia paid to have a submarine taken over there from South Carolina.
That one had eye stalks.
Mini sub.
Yeah.
The guy went down in the water and said, that water is so black, I can't even see the front of my own boat. Loch Ness is like a giant mud puddle. You go down in there just...
That's like what you mentioned when you were talking about the caves, about it having low visibility. He might say here in a second what's in the water. There's some composition of sediment in the water that makes it especially black like that.
Just a few feet, visibility is 0. You can't see a thing. Japanese put 24 boats, went all the way down the lake and reported they scanned the bottom with sonar.
Have a good one, Sandy. Enjoy your quiche.
And it's wrinkled up like a raisin. And there are caves going off to the side. Probably with air chambers, the creature can come up under and go under inside the mountain and breathe and live in there. One guy got a picture of...
See, he's right there with you, AJ.
Yep.
Already ahead of the curve.
Exactly right.
Diamond-shaped flipper underwater. Again, they thought it was a plesiosaur. Reader's Digest published this picture, and back in '78, pictures right there on the floor, about Nessie with its mouth open.
Yep, there's the one where obviously Nessie's had a long night of drinking and is about to Ralph right there in the water in front of it. Otherwise, why is Nessie always hanging out with her mouth open like that?
Right.
Mouth's always open.
We can go all day about Loch Ness monster, but they said this photograph was a fake, and it probably was, but I don't know.
There you go. There's the one you were talking about, AJ.
Yeah. There's our boy.
The guy who took this picture came out and said, yeah, I faked it, and here's how I did it. And it's a toy submarine with a wooden cutout or cardboard cutout. strapped onto it. So the surgeon photo taken in 1933 may have been fake. Some claim that the last surviving nephew of the surgeon admitted it was fake just before he died.
It's interesting. They waited till the last guy involved died to announce it's a fake. Now, how do you check out the truth? But anyway, there are other lakes besides Loch Ness. There's Loch Lochy, Loch Morar. There are many other lakes reporting creatures. There's one called the Morgwar, the Cornish sea serpent by England.
I always thought this one looked like an elephant swimming in the water with its head poking out. But, you know, it's in Cornwall, so elephants aren't indigenous there, of course.
The English Channel has many reported sightings of a creature like this. In 1749, in England, a creature was caught resembling in some degree an alligator, but having two large fins. The body was covered with impenetrable scales. It had 5 rows of teeth. 1934, this thing washed up on the beach in Normandy, France.
I mean, I'm not shaming him. I clear my throat on my stream all the time if I need to. I try to mute, but sometimes I don't. But I'm also not charging people $50 for a DVD of me talking and this coming up.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We got Otangelo on the side chat. Yeah, are you here to troll, Otangelo? You can give it a shot. Loch Ness. Oh boy, Loch Ness is 100% true. Oh boy, oh boy. I would love to have that conversation sometime. You can present your evidence and I will shred it. If it's any of the stuff we've talked about already, it's already been dealt with. I know a lot about these topics, Odie. I don't think you can roll with me. Hey, Ian Chin, I didn't see you come in. How do you know there's light in you when the gateway is so dark? Surely no light enters except that of your priest, perhaps. I don't know. What do I say? Oh, here we go. Oh my goodness. The light in your bowels, white as snow in color. Okay. We got just some goofy stuff going on here. Okay. You guys enjoy. Have fun. Let's finish this section out here because I have impeded on AJ's day and I want to make sure he gets back to it. And we're just about an hour here, which is about what I had carved out for this. So ready to wrap this up here. I can't finish his Loch Ness spiel.
There's a guy standing there looking at it for scale. A couple of scientists reported this creature swam past their boat in Brazil in 1905. They reported the whole thing in a scientific journal. The creature had a long neck, 6 feet long, 2 feet high. The dorsal fin, was 6 feet long, 2 feet high, a small head on a neck.
This was an oarfish. I don't have hardly any doubt at all that what they saw was an oarfish based on the drawing that they just presented there. My opinion.
Yeah.
About 7 or 8 feet long. 2 experienced British naturalists reported the thing. And again, we can go all day on reported sightings. This thing, in 1977, a Japanese fishing boat pulled this up in their net. It was 32 feet long, 4,000 pounds.
Basking shark.
Said, what on earth is that?
A basking shark?
Captain said, I don't know, but it stinks.
The stinky basking
when
shark.
When they set it down on the deck, it broke in half and pus oozed out everywhere.
Gross.
So they made a bunch of sketches, took a bunch of pictures, and shoved it overboard. Special stamp was made for Japanese mail in 1977. Now, some people argue that it might have been a basking shark, and I agree. It might have been a basking shark.
No, it was a basking shark.
But the fishermen on board said, we know what basking sharks are. We don't think it is, okay? Basking sharks, they tend to rot away.
And I guess you know better than that.
It's a basking shark right there. It could have been a basking. It doesn't matter. They said the protein is 96% similar. Yes, I know, but nobody's ever seen plesiosaur protein, okay, to know what it's supposed to look like.
Okay, pause it. So I find this very confusing because I feel like if he's not making this up, he's using the protein as if you would use DNA, saying, right. Well, the DNA is 96% similar.
There's more images of this creature than this. I did a whole video on it with going over Behe's video, or no, it was what's his name? Ian Juby. Ian Juby did a video about it, and I went into details about this. I think Raw Matt or whatever had it on his creation channel, and I went over and kind of debunked the whole thing. We did look at some basking sharks, so I don't have any pulled up now, showing the way that they decay exactly like this creature. Because we've had several wash up on beaches that we were able to examine very thoroughly, and it's the same kind of thing. That what looks like hair there is actually the breaking down of the cartilage of the organism, something you would not see in a plesiosaur because they don't have cartilage. They're tetrapods. They have calcified bones.
Yeah, and you see it says humans and apes have very similar protein, yet are very different. Again, it's like I feel like he's conflating humans and chimps having very similar genomes, to protein. And what does this even mean? They have very similar protein, yet are very different. Well, humans and apes, humans and chimps have ears that are identical. So,
well, and the thought that there's no such thing as shark protein. There are different proteins that a shark has.
right.
Thousands of them, I believe. That most organisms have thousands of proteins, but and you match.
I just think it's funny that this is his slide, and he's saying, yeah. So they took some samples, and they said that it was like a 96% match for a basking shark. It may have been okay. It may have been. But maybe it was a plesiosaur.
Now it's
similar, but have many differences also. Anyways, a lot of arguments about that. It doesn't matter to me, but some people get all bent out of shape.
The fishermen and the marine biologists who had it knew what basking sharks were and did not think it was one. I am doubting that these fishermen had ever trawled up a decayed basking shark. I don't think that happened to them in the past. So this would have been a novel experience, which is why it was so strange to them.
Because they even mentioned, the Japanese catch of 1977. Russians report a creature in the lake up there. They call it Mystery of the Lake here. What looked like a dinosaur washed up on the beach in Russia, 1994. It was 39 feet long.
That was a Beard's dolphin.
This thing apparently is a doctored photo of a shark. Somebody with Photoshop, made it look like a plesiosaur, but actually it's a doctored photo. But so be careful. There's plenty of frauds out there.
Did they run it over with a steamroller?
Does not disprove the existence of the original. Right?
It does look like a cartoon character when they get squished by the steamroller.
In 2004, a bunch of people over in Papua New Guinea reported a creature like a dinosaur, 10 feet tall, with a head like an alligator, or tail like an alligator, a head like
this. So just in case anybody wonders, this is saltwater crocodile territory here. Oh.
like a dog.
That's scary.
Right there on the island in the city of Kokopo. One lady said she saw it. She ran for her life, seeing a 3-meter tall creature with a head like a dog and a tail like a crocodile. You can read all about it on the internet about this creature seen just in 2004. Japan.
If one lady said that, then it must be true. I mean, we can trust one lady.
Yeah, that's how we know that there's pterodactyls in Mexico, and how we know that. The dinosaur in the Congo that we talked about before. You have witnesses that see these things, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's true. That's
one lady said it.
Yeah.
It's verified. One lady said, this thing, one lady she was at some place during some time period, and she said something. I don't know what it was. I wasn't there, but it was probably that it was not a basking shark. It was a plesiosaur, and she probably, I'm not saying she did. I'm saying she could have said that Loch Ness Monster is real.
Yeah.
So that's that's a verified sighting right there.
We've already confirmed the Loch Ness Monster. These are just tertiary ones. This is just proving that they're everywhere, not just in Loch Ness.
Yeah. This is just another nail in the coffin of the evolutionists. So.
And report some of these creatures. The North Island, Hokkaido reports them, and the South Island down here of Japan. They call it.
You got the North and the South.
In Lake Ikeda. In China, there's reported
confirmed
USO, unidentified swimming object.
Whoa.
Norway.
The monster was golden yellow. That monster sounds lit. He's got the bling. Had horns,
Unidentified
too.
swimming object. That's clever.
Yeah, USL.
Has several reported sightings as Swedish lakes. A couple of Swedish lakes up there. They call it. Anybody speak Swedish? Know how to say that?
You gonna give it a
Fjords,
shot?
Jordan. Close enough.
Doesn't
Swedish, do you?
Kent say he
Wait,
speaks
go
it?
back. I don't know, but I will
The city
try.
of Kokopo. One lady said she saw it. She ran
Oh,
for her life, seeing a 3-meter
back
tall
a little too
creature with
far.
a head like a dog and a tail like a crocodile. You can read all about it on the internet about this creature seen just in 2004. Norway has several reported sightings, as do Swedish lakes. A couple of Swedish lakes up there. They call it.
Okay.
There we go.
So this is a stores your yurt, something like that.
Yeah.
I like the face on that animal. It's very, very realistic.
Yeah, he's super. He ain't having it too. He's not.
Yeah, he's like a long tube.
Mm-hmm. Like his expression though, he's like, keep walking.
Yeah. I'm eating a great white shark.
Close enough. Yeah. Okay. You don't speak Swedish, do you? You're lying. Okay. Norway, they've got a creature. They say it's very similar to the Loch Ness monster. Hundreds of folks
I
claim
don't know why
they've
that was
seen
funny to me.
It's in the news occasionally, kind of like Loch Ness. Okay. Canada has reported sightings of these creatures. Canadian lake monsters.
Well, if
Ness is
Canada
Canadian.
reported it, I mean,
Pogo be real, y'all.
this is just. I mean, I was already convinced before we started the video. I had already made up my mind that this was true. But Canada, please. I mean,
Wow.
Yeah.
Indian cousin. There's a lake in the town of Kelowna called the Lake Okanagan. It's a huge lake. It's 80 miles long. I've been up there twice to speak in the town of Kelowna. The natives call this creature the Ogopogo. We sell a book on our table back there if you want to get that. The Ogopogo.
There's Kent with the famous Ogopogo statue. I would like to go up there someday and see the lake and take my picture with the statue. Canada
that is pretty
looks,
cool.
Yeah. I like the folklore and stuff around these like little small town monsters and stuff. I don't buy into it or anything, but
So are we counting this as a verified sighting of Nessie? Yeah. Okay.
Like verified sighting. Well, this is Ogopogo, but yeah, so Ogopogo confirmed. Kent went up there and checked himself. You say you calling Kent Hovind a liar? Yeah. I notice how you don't come on camera when you make those kind of statements.
How dare you?
Very similar to Loch Ness Monster. Thousands of folks claim they've seen that one. This article says they were the latest among thousands to see something strange in this narrow 18-mile-long lake. One guy swam the length of the lake and said the thing came up under him, scared him half to death. I got news articles like crazy.
I always thought Ogopogo was probably a sturgeon.
Can you go back just a few seconds?
Yeah, where are we? It's 46.
The natives call this creature the Ogopogo. We sell a book on our table back there if you want to get that. The Ogopogo. Very similar to Loch Ness Monster. Thousands of folks claim they've seen that one. This article says they were the latest among thousands to see something strange in this narrow 18-mile-long lake. One guy swam the length of the lake and said the thing came up under him, scared him half to death. I got news articles like crazy about this. She said, I saw Ogopogo twice, this woman says. I interviewed John Caruso. He and his family were sleeping in their boat on the lake. They're camping out on the lake in their big boat. And something bumped the bottom of their boat and woke them all up in the middle of the early in the night. They went out and saw two Ogopogos swimming across the lake. He went back, grabbed his camera. By the time he got it, it was pretty far away. But he gave me a copy of the video footage of what he saw at about.
Is he going to show it?
Quite too far away to make out the details.
Not.
But he said, look, Brother Hovind, I saw the Ogopogo. Many, many folks will go on record and saying, I have seen it. There's one in Cadborough Bay, British Columbia.
So he just glosses right over. He's like, "Here's the video," and he's like, "But I'm not going to show it to you."
Yeah.
If you want to read more, a baby caddy was found inside the stomach of a sperm whale. They say it has a short pointed front flippers and a long necked long-necked beast with a horse-like head. One guy caught a baby one with his dip net, drew a sketch of it before he released it. He didn't know what it was, so he let it go. I
That
interviewed
looks
this
like
guy
a
for an
sturgeon too.
hour. These 4 guys were fishing in Canada when a creature chased their boat off Cape Sable Island, Nova Scotia, when I was preaching up there. It happened in 1992 when I met him. He said he was 67 when this happened.
It's peculiar how they what he chooses to highlight here. Why is the chase their boat for 1.5 miles the important part here, and not the fact that it was 40 to 50 foot long?
He'd been fishing out there since he was 5. He said this 40 to 50 foot long creature chased their boat for 1 to 2 miles. He said the neck was 2 feet thick and 8 to 9 feet long. It had 9-inch diameter eyes. He said they were 6 miles south of Cape Sable Island. He said, I don't want to see it again. That's what he told me. This thing.
He said it had tusk like a walrus. I'm wondering if it wasn't like a narwhal. You know, there's people out there who think the narwhals are mythical, like they're not real.
That's weird. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Washed up on the beach in Newfoundland. Sometimes big blobs wash up. Sometimes it is whale skin, actually. The whale dies, gets eaten, and the layer of blubber, washes up.
Yeah, they call those globsters.
Sometimes it's a basking shark.
Ooh,
Parker Cove, this thing washed up in Parker Cove, Canada. I talked to many folks who said they saw it.
See, this is a good example of what I was talking about with the stringy stuff. That's how you know it's a shark, because that's how the cartilage breaks down, as opposed to like calcified bones, which will be laying there forever. The cartilage breaks down by starting to like fan out in because the cartilage is like wired. It's like a little bit different than calcification is what makes bone. But anyway, I'm getting too much into the minutia of it. Yeah, this is how cartilage decays. It decays into fraying hair-like structures.
A lot of people went and analyzed it. I don't think it's ever positively determined what it is. It might have been a basking shark, but nobody knows positively. But
now that is definitely a fish, definitely a shark. See, they can like a spinal column sticking out there at the bottom right here. The spine of sharks, all these cartilaginous fish kind of look like furnace filters in a way, that they're ridged and can shaped like that, and there's not anything protruding off of them like there is in a vertebrae of a tetrapod.
it's gone. People cut pieces off it. The vertebrae do tend to look like shark vertebrae instead of any other kind.
Oh,
it's just interesting stuff like
Kent was willing to admit that. Good. All right.
like this washes up on the beach. But we sell a book called Monster about North American lake monsters and sea serpents. Good book by Lauren Coleman, who is a cryptozoologist, but also an evolutionist. Okay. I interviewed Jacques Boisvet for 3 hours. He got sightings of the lake Memphremagog.
I'm familiar with Lauren Coleman. I don't think Lauren Coleman believes that the lake monsters actually exist. He's kind of skeptical for the most part.
Creature between Vermont and Quebec, Canada. Hundreds of folks claim they've seen something in this lake up there in Lake Memphremagog. Creature's been seen in the Potomac River. There's a book about the great New England sea serpent.
And just to be clear, I think Kent believes all of these, right? He believes every single one of these is a real thing. None of them are hoaxes or fakes or frauds or misidentifications. Every single one of these is a legitimate plesiosaur that got trapped in a lake.
There's an island off Connecticut and Rhode Island called Block Island, where many folks claim they've seen creatures swimming around out there. They call it the Block Ness monster. One washed up in 1996. Another was something else washed up in 2004. Never was identified that I know of. And I interview people all the time. Lake Erie's apparently got one. Erie's Bessie matches Nessie. They say it's 35 feet long, has a snake-like head. It's in the newspaper once in a while about Lake Erie's monster. Okay, you can read all that for yourself. But
oh man, he goes on for quite a bit about this, doesn't he?
Erie. The guy took it home, stuffed it, and mounted it. He's a taxidermist.
Yeah, we only got about 5 more minutes of it left. Let him finish up. He goes into pterodactyls here in a second. Pterosaurs.
Texas. It's never been identified. They're not sure what. It may be a fake. Nobody knows, but very interesting little critter. I interviewed the sheriff who saw that, was the first guys to see the Situate Harbor monster, 50 feet long when it washed up on the beach. Everybody started cutting pieces off. By the time they got the photo taken, it was pretty butchered up. Some people argued it's a basking shark. Others said it's a real sea serpent. The health department said, we don't care. It stinks. We're getting it out of here. And so they blew it up with dynamite. California, 1925. This critter washed up on the beach.
Did you ever see the video of them blowing up the whale with the dynamite? Or was it dynamite? It was, I'm not sure if I remember if it was dynamite or what, but yeah, it was nasty.
Wow.
Hey, Math Pig, good to see you. We're about wrapping up here, but I'm glad you were able to catch the tail end of things. Yeah.
Head, here's the neck going down to the right.
Now that is a Baird's
just the neck was
whale.
20 feet long.
Right. And specifically on this example, they think that it's a plesiosaur with a long neck, but if you could go back where it shows that image. I think what the actual thing was is just that the neck, part of the neck had decayed, or part of its head had decayed. They're saying that that's the head, and a neck.
It's like stretched out, like the head's been basically, it's been decapitated, but it's still connected by some sinew and stuff, is what it looks like to me.
Right.
Is that what you're seeing? Like, especially when you get to this next picture here. So
just the neck was 20 feet long.
Right here. So here's the head and here's the torso, right? All this in between.
Right.
Like
right. That's what I was trying to say, I guess. Yeah.
It's like viscera and stuff that's
how they
out.
decay. Yeah.
Well, everybody that examined it said it was a plesiosaurus. 20-foot
the dentition of that is what confirms that it's a citizen for me.
One atheist wrote me a letter and said, Hovind, you're so stupid. He said, don't you know that was a whale? I said, now just exactly where is the neck on a whale? Ought to be between the head and the flippers. He said,
it's funny, and he shows these completely unrelated, because obviously talking about a toothed whale in the Delphinidae family is what the claim would be, and he didn't show any Delphinidae at all.
It's a rare form of Bard's.
I guess he did. The orc is a Delphinidae, but it's a very robust Delphinidae. It's like the most robust of all.
Beaked whale. Oh, it's pretty rare, all right, with a 20-foot neck. Duh. The people who saw it said it's a plesiosaurus. Why is that so hard to believe? You know why people resist explanations like that? It goes against their theory. They like the evolution theory because it gives them freedom from God. That's why they like that theory. And we could spend all day on cryptozoology stuff. I've studied this for years and love. I've interviewed now 100 people that claim they've seen a living dinosaur. In New York, 1969, the harbor police chased something much bigger than a whale upriver. Never did catch it. Could have been a zeuglodon or a basilosaurus, I don't know. But the White River monster in Newport, Arkansas has...
The White River monster, I believe most of the descriptions of it describe it as some kind of fur seal-like animal, which is the leading theory on if it was actually a real sighting. What it was like a fur seal that had found its way up the Mississippi somehow.
It's been reported many times. Up until 1973, it apparently disappeared. Arkansas Senate passed a resolution that said it's unlawful to molest, kill, or trample the White River monster. Off the coast of Jupiter, Florida, something's been seen similar to a dinosaur swimming in the ocean out there. Read the articles for yourself. A lot of this stuff's on my website, Dr. Dino. You can read all about this. There's a lake between New York and Vermont called Lake Champlain, where many people claim they've seen the Lake Champlain monster. I interviewed Sandy that took this picture. I said, Sandy, do you think you saw a dinosaur?
That's not a picture. That's a drawing or a painting.
She said, no.
Oh, that picture.
I saw a dinosaur.
Oh, okay. She
and her husband and 2 kids watched it for 10 minutes.
But that plesiosaur wouldn't be a dinosaur anyway. But I'm really pushing the envelope trying to get creationists to separate marine reptiles from dinosaurs. Have a hard enough time getting to separate ice-aged mammals from dinosaurs.
58 people on the Ethan Allen, which capsized earlier a couple months ago. You know, some people think they all ran to one side to see something and flipped the boat over. I don't know. Maybe it's just too many Twinkies. But the captain on board back in 1898 said, if you think what I saw was a fish, it weighed 3,000 to 5,000 pounds.
Could have been a sturgeon.
Mm-hmm.
Bible talks about the dragons of the waters.
The
You shall slay the
waters.
dragon that is in the
Give us a waters, AJ.
Water. Waters.
Pluralize it. Waters.
Yeah. Yeah, the waters. It's like evidences and hovens.
Hovenses.
In Pensacola,
Indians.
where I live, 4 or 5 teenagers went scuba diving back in 1962. One survived the trip. Here's what he said. They were going out to the sunken ship in the Pensacola
Had like a parrot beak.
Harbor called the Massachusetts. And here's what he said. I've got tons of stuff on this. He said, we were in an Air Force rescue raft bound for a sunken ship a few miles off the coast. Midway out, we were caught in a storm and dragged out to sea. When the storm cleared, we were in a dense fog. We began to hear strange noises like the splashing of a porpoise and a sickening odor like dead fish. The noise got closer to the raft, and I heard a loud hissing sound. Out in the fog, we saw what looked like a long pole about 10 feet high sticking up out of the water. On top was a bulb-like structure. It bent in the middle and went under. It appeared several more times, getting closer to the raft. The silence was broken once again by something out of the fog. I can only describe it as a high-pitched whine. We panicked.
That sounds like a whale too.
All 5 of us put on our fins and went into the water. Keep together and try for the ship, I yelled. After we got in the water, we got split up in the fog, and from behind I could hear the screams of my comrades one by one. I got a closer look at the thing just before my last friend went under. The neck was about 12 feet long, brownish green and smooth looking. The head was like a sea turtle, except more elongated. The eyes were green with oval pupils. I don't know how long it was before I heard a scream. It lasted maybe half a minute. Then I heard Warren's call, hey, help me, it's got Brad. I've got to get out of here. His voice was cut off abruptly by a short cry. Brad, Warren, hey, where is everybody? I yelled back at the top of my lungs. Larry now swam with Eric and me. Warren and Brad were nowhere in sight. Right next to Eric, that telephone pole-like figure broke water. I could see the long neck and 2 small eyes. The mouth opened and it bent over. It dove on top of Eric, dragging him under. I screamed and began to swim past the ship. My insides were shaking uncontrollably. He drew a sketch of the thing that killed his friends. He said,
I'm going to have to do a whole episode on that. I'm going to have to do a whole episode called Cryptids That Kill or something and talk about these type of sightings and what they kind of mean at the core.
Yep.
And he made it to the top of the ship and stayed there most of the night. Next morning, I swam to shore, was found by the rescue unit. That's the sketch Brian McCleary drew of what he saw that killed his 4 friends. I was speaking in Fort Walton Beach, Florida.
It looks like a bird head, right? A parrot beak.
I mean, this bloodthirsty beast killed 3 of his friends. Can't you see the hatred in its eye?
It's got blood dripping from its mouth.
Yeah, and it's humping a buoy, you know.
When something kills my friends, I always do a nice calligraphy signature at the bottom corner.
Exactly, and yeah, I think, as I've seen enough evidence,
Yeah, you're convinced now? Don't go in the water, AJ.
No, I'm not convinced. I had it and I lost it. I don't think the Loch Ness Monster is real.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. All right. So I think from here he goes into like pterosaurs and stuff. So we'll let him wrap up about this sighting.
One time, and Valerie Bill came to me and said, Mr. Hovind, my stepson, Larry Bill, was one of the kids who was eaten. That story you are telling is correct. But the Pensacola News Journal said, after they interviewed him, they said, this is a beach town. People come here to go swimming. We're not going to...
It's like the sheriff of Jaws. We're going to keep the beaches open.
Report that your friends got eaten by a dinosaur. We're going to report that they drowned. So that's what the newspaper said. 4 teenagers drowned. Panama City, there's something seen there similar. Youth director at a Lutheran church told me his whole youth group was in the van and they saw a creature like that in Panama City Harbor. There have been many reports of dinosaurs still living. There could be some pterodactyls still alive.
All right. Yeah, we're getting into pterodactyls. Maybe me and AJ will visit that again sometime in the future. But for right now, I'm getting a little hungry. I've been streaming since pretty much nonstop since 9:30 this morning. So I'm going to take a break. Again,
Thanks
go ahead
for inviting me on.
Yeah, go ahead and shill your thing again because I know you got that coming up Monday. I'll make sure everybody knows we got more viewers now. So Yeah, AJ has a thing coming up with Apologia releasing, and there's going to be an after party. It should be a good time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, we're doing a follow-up to the Dinosaur Scandal Land 2021 video from last year. So this one is going to be 2022 edition, like a new car. It's gonna be similar to the last one, but there's gonna be a big section in the middle that's gonna get into some of the darker stuff that's been apparently going on there, and it gets I don't know, it gets pretty intense, without saying too much. It's
Wow.
I think it's gonna be I'm glad people are gonna see this information, and I think it's gonna be fun doing the after show. So yeah, and if you haven't already checked out my channel, go over there and subscribe.
Yeah, I need to add that into the description. Sorry about that. I should have done that before I went live. But yeah, Atheist Junior on YouTube, though. You type that in, you're going to pull him up. First result. So no trouble there. And the channel that the premiere is on, that's where the after party is. The channel that the premiere is on is Apologia. So yeah, if you pull up Apologia, Critical Cupcake just dropped both links in the side chat, Apologia and Atheist Junior. So watch the premiere over on Apologia's channel, and then go observe the after party with AJ, and it should be a good time. Again, I have something coming up over on Amy Newman's channel. We just haven't got a day yet. There's a Discord chat about it right now when we're going to pin that down. But when I know, you will know, and it'll be fun. And I will want everybody to come over and check it out. I haven't got to talk much to Cindy. That's why she requested to have a more direct conversation with me and one other gal about evolution, because we were in a conversation with her previously and we really didn't get to speak too much, but she wanted to talk to us. So that should be a fun conversation. So look forward to that. I will be back live Hive next Saturday morning at 9:30, of course. And you'll see me around some YouTube streams throughout the week, I'm sure. Again, I started my new job this Monday, so we'll see how that goes. I got a promotion, so I'm going to be in training all this week. So if I seem a little bit more strung out than usual, that's probably why. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, links down below. Hit the thumbs up button if you like this. I'm glad we were able to have AJ on and have a good laugh at some of these Loch Ness blunders that we dealt with today. Appreciate you always for coming in here, AJ.
Sure, no problem.
All right. Oh, hold on. Before we go, you need to answer this question. Why does Atheist Junior suppress the knowledge of God? I think it's because he wants to sin. Do you want to sin, AJ?
Well, if you don't sin, then Jesus died for nothing.
And on that, we're going to finish out the stream. Be kind, take care, and we'll see you next time.